Our researchers have found, in addition to being associated with multiple different poor health outcomes, it's important to understand changes to normal sleep patterns that can have other negative effects on our health, specifically talking about maybe cancer concerns. We've got Dr. Vivian Cline, oncologist with St. David's Medical Center and Texas Oncology, here to talk about that. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We were just talking right before we came on.
Yes.
It's scary to me as someone who wakes up in the middle of the night and maybe doesn't get the rest I need. Sometimes maybe I eat those big meals too close to when I attempt to go to bed.
Right. I think that's a risk and a part of our modern lifestyle, for better or for worse.
Mm-hmm. What did this research show us, or what did you see?
So the research was a retrospective study, meaning they gave people questionnaires, and roughly 40–50% of the patients had a history of cancer, and the other more than 50% did not. Mm-hmm. And they asked them not only about what they ate and their lifestyle, but they asked them about the time that they ate dinner, and what time they went to bed, and how long they let elapse between the eating of dinner and going to bed.
Okay, I guess one of the first factors is, like with so many things, it always gets back to, hey, try to eat as healthy as you can.
Absolutely.
Try to get a good night's sleep every day you can. However you do that, obviously that's still very much in play. But this talks about the length of time between that last big meal and going to bed.
Yes, and what the researchers found was there seemed to be an association between letting at least 2 hours lapse before dinner and going to bed, and decreased risk of common cancers. Breast cancer, prostate cancer is the most common cancers we see in men and women.
And any idea why that might be? I mean...
Sure. We don't know exactly why. This was a retrospective study. It wasn't a prospective study where they take half the people and say, you're going to eat late, and the other half you're not going to eat late. But it dovetails nicely with previous epidemiological studies that are done looking at other activities that impact circadian rhythm. For example, night shift work that's chronic. Mm-hmm. And the thought is that disruptions in circadian rhythm that happen over a long period of time impact glucose metabolism. And so the thought is that long-term impact on circadian rhythm and glucose tolerance may have something to do with chronic disease, such as cardiovascular disease, and risk of certain types of cancer development. Yeah,
it seems to make sense. Obviously, there's a reason for people who work shifts like we do on morning show or overnight to not eat right before you go to bed, maybe dietary reasons, weight gain reasons, but this would be another factor as well, even though I will say there was a time I thought it makes all the sense in the world. Eat a nice big meal and then you crash out.
Right.
And some people probably do that when they come home from a shift and they're just exhausted and you overeat.
Right, and I think that's pretty typical. Mm-hmm. But it makes sense that if you eat a big meal before you go to sleep, you're probably not going to sleep that well. Maybe you'll have more heartburn. Mm-hmm. So for that reason alone, it's just good practice to not do that and let some time elapse. And
I know for dietary reasons, you'd probably recommend people having obviously healthier but smaller meals throughout the day. But you're saying it's not the worst thing in the world to have had that meal a few hours back and not maybe be hungry, but almost, certainly not feel full or say when you do go to bed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And what was interesting about the study is that the biggest risk reduction was, of course, for people who reported that they had a healthier lifestyle. They exercised, they tried to take in less salt, less sugar, less fat, but there was still a risk reduction for people who reported that maybe they didn't have such a healthy lifestyle. Mm-hmm.
So as you try to do the healthier things, get that good night's rest, get better nutrition in your day, also keep in mind when you eat as it relates to when you go to bed.
Yes, absolutely.
Very interesting information. All right, Dr. Vivian Cline again with St. David's Medical Center and Texas Oncology. We appreciate it. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.